Hey, welcome to another video. In this episode we'll be going through the painting process for a landscape environment concept. You will see the whole thing from sketch to final image, and I'll also talk about some tips and ideas on how to improve your art. My name is Victor, I'm a concept artist and illustrator, and I'm really excited to talk about this painting. So let's start! Alright, so as I mentioned before, the steps you take to get to the final image are not rigid at all. Some people prefer to start with a black and white sketch or maybe with some line work. Others prefer to create silhouettes and put color on top of that and continue from there. It doesn't really matter as long as the goal is clear and the final result reads well. In this case, I started with simple line work and then continued with color and value basically. Personally for me, I find this to be the easiest approach. Some people prefer to add color on a black and white sketch, but in that case you have to meddle with layer properties. You have to use a combination of overlay, color and maybe multiply and try to get that, natural color. And overall I think it's faster to work directly with color and value at the same time. Sometimes it might be a little bit overwhelming. Definitely let me know in the comments if you guys prefer to work with color directly or you prefer to start with the black and white sketch. I'm really curious about it. Okay, so at this stage you can see me blocking in the main shapes. I'm working with flat color mostly. I'm not really worried about describing the form yet. I'm just experimenting a lot with value and trying to adjust it so the whole composition is readable. I've pretty much decided how I want to have the background. I'm still not really sure about the foreground though. It's still quite flat, not really interesting. There's not a lot of visual interest in there for now. I guess a good tip would be to, whenever you start your painting, try using broader brush strokes and larger brushes in general. Worry about your bigger shapes first and then continue to the medium and the smaller details. I'm trying not to be very wasteful when it comes to brush strokes. Try to be really deliberate with your actions and your decisions, because otherwise you may find yourself doodling in one spot and then the image becomes overworked and not really appealing. I'm adjusting the proportions of our character a little bit because it seemed a bit boring. I'm trying to push and pull some shapes here and there just to see maybe I can get to a better result somehow. Alright, so when you see that your composition is a bit more readable, you can go ahead and work on that secondary read, that's second layer of details, maybe a bit more work on the forms. In this case, it's an overcast type of lighting, so there's not a lot of direct sunlight you can work with. I'm trying to describe the forms by adding this ambient occlusion whenever the two planes are close to each other and darkening those areas. Trying to describe the shapes of the rocks, working on the foreground. Right now I'm literally jumping onto each plane and adding details here and there, trying to adjust the lighting, working on the foliage a little bit. I was really intending at first to create a snowy scene, but then sort of decided to make a bit of a contrast going on and have the background warmer and the foreground colder, as well as less snow on the trees on top. Alright, here I decided that I need an additional element for my foreground, so I'm drawing really quickly right now a tree that is really close to the camera, so I'm gonna blur it out. You can do that just by going to filters in Photoshop and picking any type of blur you want. So I'm just kind of making a silhouette real quick, giving it a really dark value, just to emphasize the idea that it's close to the camera and it's not in the light. And this will also help add a little bit of depth in the scene, right? I'm trying to give the ground area a bit of flowy lines here and there, just to help lead the viewer's eye towards our character. Also adding some details to the trees. Nothing major, really simple brush strokes, selecting the values and placing them, however it feels natural. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, it helps a lot. Also, don't forget to ask any questions about the process in the comments. I'm trying to answer all of them. Alright, thanks again so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one, coming soon.